It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Well, just making sure that we're locked down on our plan and our contingencies based on whatever they might bring, whether it's pressures or different coverages, different ways to match some of our best players, giving them some answers.
What are your thoughts just on how much better the Lions have gotten and what Hutchinson, with the 3 sacks obviously last week, has added to them?
Well, yeah, they added a really good piece there with Hutchinson. He's going to be a really good player in this division for a long time. Plays very hard, athletic, and he's big.
Wes Phillips looks like he won a fan contest to be the Vikings offensive coordinator. He's got the gray hunting beard and the hooded sweatshirt, and we're just up here playing football. Just gonna go hunting with my buddies this weekend, and hopefully be back a couple hours before the game and drink some Surly.
I was gonna say drink some before I die. So hopefully that godforsaken NFL franchise in this town can win a Super Bowl.
He's talking about contingencies there, too, which basically means options for Kirk Cousins in the passing game based on protections and what the defensive look might be. So we'll see if he can lean on those contingencies more. Did you guys know, just before we get into the Purple Picks here episode and all of our own contingencies, that Kirk and the Vikings passing game, so it's not all on Kirk, rank dead last in average depth of target so far this season.
Ooh. Was that number that was an okay number coming out of the Green Bay game, right?
It was a good number against pressure in the Green Bay game. When they weren't facing pressure, it was a lot of short stuff, which some of it's designed. Some of it is screens or, there's a crossing route or something that's only 6 yards down the field, whatever. So I'm not saying that you have to always be chucking the ball down the field, but I don't think they scripted it so that they would be last in average depth of target through the first 2 games. So something to watch on Sunday. This is Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die here on Purple Daily. And the show is presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, and home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. And the Minnesota Lottery, by the way, the show is also presented by Surly Brewing Company. We love our friends at Surly and the Before I Die can. But show the audience here and tell the audience about the glorious Minnesota Lottery Viking scratch-off ticket.
The Vikings might not win each weekend, but you can, and that's through the Vikings big ticket scratch game. Yes, that is correct. More than $10.2 million in total cash prizes. You know what it is, gentlemen? It's time to go big with the lottery's big ticket scratch game. So big, it has huge second chance prizes, too. The lottery, say I'm in, must be 18 or older to go big. So remember, even when the purple doesn't win, you can win with the purple, the big ticket scratch game.
All right, gentlemen, this is our Purple Picks episode each week, where we're going to go through. So we've kind of morphed this from where it was a year ago, and I'm going to present to you guys a series of questions here, and we can fill in the blanks. And I think we can kind of carry these categories and questions into each week. So let's start with this one, and by the end we will pick the Vikings or the Lions. We'll pick the spread, etc. But let's start with this question: on a scale of 1 to 10, how big is this game?
I would put this game, it's a defining game as far as the steps in trying to figure out who or what this team is. I'm going to put this game on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to put it at a 7.
Wow.
I think it's a very important game to define. Now, if you're asking me, do I put it at a 7? Because if they lose, they're not going to the Super Bowl. No, because I don't expect that to begin with. But you know what? Week 1 was impressive. I'm not going to hold back here. Week 1 was impressive. You played the Packers, and yes, they had injuries. I get that. But you know what? Just like with the Twins, I'm not going to, they had injuries, so it doesn't. No, you know what? Play through adversity. Vikings, Week 1 impressive. I was very disappointed Monday night, flat out. I didn't think that the team was prepared. I didn't think that they were well coached. I thought that Kirk took huge steps backwards. This is supposed to be a new Kirk because of KOC. So I'm going to put this at a 7. It's a home game. To me, it's a tough game, but winnable. And if there are designs, and there is from the very top of this franchise, that this can be a playoff team that can make a run, I think this game is pretty important in helping to define who you are. So I'm going to give it a pretty high for week 3, 7.
It's a 5 for me. It's a 5 out of 10. I don't think it can swing too far into panic mode. I don't think you can obviously take it completely lightly either. They're at home. The Vikings have typically played very well at home and against the spread in general. I think this might be more of a track meet. You know, the Vikings have been very under their over-under scores in weeks 1 and 2. This one might be more offensive-centric because both these defenses have a lot of just question marks and they get gashed really easily. But I think it's a 5 out of 10. If they lose, I don't think it shipwrecks you. But from our Friday episode, I think you pump the brakes just a little bit on the optimism. But I do think the Vikings should be in control of this game. But it's a 5 out of 10 for me.
It's like a 4 out of 10 for me. I think it's, first of all, if you lose, it's no longer the embarrassment that it maybe was a year or 2 years ago. The Lions are competitive, and they're going to win some games. And they beat you last year. They're not a pushover team anymore. So it's not like a oh my God, avoid embarrassment level of importance here. And if you win the game, it doesn't like vault you. It's a game that you're probably supposed to win. So and again, I have them kind of struggling to finish 500 going into the week 7 bye. So, if they lose this game, it wouldn't shock me entirely. I think they're going to win it, and we can get to our official picks later. But I think in terms of like level of importance, it's like a 4 for me. Next question for you guys. Is anyone playing or coaching for their job this week? Viking specific, but if you have any thoughts on the opponent from week to week, you can throw that out there too.
I think that no, for the most part, no. But I do think Cam Dantzler. I mean, he got benched. That was not a. It's late in the game. We'd like to see different guys. He got flat out benched. I actually thought in the first half at times he played well, but clearly he made mistakes that caused O'Connell, who's got a pretty long leash with guys, right? Like I think O'Connell's going to be a pretty patient guy. He benched his ass. So Cam Dantzler is probably, if Cam Dantzler comes out and struggles again and potentially gets benched again, I don't think he starts against the Saints. So yeah, he is probably in the short term right now playing for his job. And you know what's intriguing about this is I thought that the Dantzler thing was a Zim thing. But if you got benched this quickly into your tenure with KOC as your coach, clearly there's a lack of attention to detail. There's something going on here. So, yes, Cam Dantzler very well might be playing for his starting job.
I don't know if it's Dantzler playing for their job, and the Vikings' safety situation has been a little murky just the first few weeks of the season. Cam Bynum hasn't looked great. Harrison Smith got burned a little bit against Philly. Is this the game where Lewis Cine can kind of solidify himself as a regular contributor? I'll kind of flip the question a little bit and say, can someone like Lewis Cine step in and force the hand that he can be a player that can contribute regularly and not just playing special teams or not playing defensive snaps? Can he kind of take someone's job if he gets a good opportunity against the Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys are accurate sniffing around the defense there. I don't think anyone on offense is playing for certainly no one's coaching for their job yet. Maybe in Denver they are, but not here yet. But I will shine a light on the center and right guard spots that just have not been. Those have been the weakest links along the offensive line, and the center has been a weak link for years. So it's not like, put up or get benched for Garrett Bradbury yet. But if he has a bad game at home against the Lions, I think we're on Chris Reed or Austin Schlottman watch at some point.
Now, Bradbury graded out pretty well PFF in Philadelphia pass protection-wise, right?
He wasn't terrible. Yep, that's fine. But we need more than like one random good game here and there. Need to string together a few. Mm-hmm. Next question for you guys. What is the biggest storyline you're interested in this week with Vikings-Lions?
The offense. The defense is probably the most important thing as far as short term because Detroit can score points, and the defense, which, by the way, is giving up 15 points 15.5 points per game. They're actually sixth in scoring defense, which is not terrible. But, the first half against Philadelphia was pretty damn bad. But I think the real storyline is the offense because the work in progress thing is absolutely true. This is going to take some time for it to become fully gelled. But that being said, I'd like to see some steps. I'd like to see Cook more. I'd like to see Thielen more. I'm not saying more than Jefferson, but I am saying, I mean, he didn't have a target in the entire first half on Monday night. So I think the really intriguing storyline here is, do we see the offense continue to mature and grow? Because you know what? Unfortunately, patience there is going to be thin just because of the expectation that Kevin O'Connell was going to come here and change the offense.
Do you think, real quick, if the offense continues to sputter like it has in the second half against Green Bay and the full game against Philly,
sure,
do people by and large start to question KOC as a schemer and a coach and a first-time play caller first, or do they start to turn toward Kirk Cousins first?
Ooh, I think it's mixed. I think it's mixed because Cousins clearly has enough fans who are never going to blame him. I think the masses, though, are going to start to wonder, hey, we got this offensive play calling genius coach. Things aren't going well. Fair or not, there's going to be an expectation that Kevin was going to change Kirk and improve Kirk. So just off the top of my head, I think more heat would come down immediately on Kevin because he is sort of, and plus he continues to blame himself. So like he's putting a lot of the weight of the situation on himself. I guess my question is, when would that start to happen? Like if the offense doesn't play great in this game, I think it gets talked about more, but when would the heat, not that would cost him his job, but when would the heat start where fans would start to get ticked off? Is that the Saints game? Is that the Bears game?
The Bears game would be one where, like, okay, guys, if you're down 10-3 or something and it's late second quarter, then boos would. But we're so far away from that. Dex, biggest storyline that you're most interested in?
Yeah, just getting the rest of the offense going. Obviously, Justin Jefferson had a big game, but Dalvin Cook was basically ignored all in Philadelphia. Adam Thielen put up some garbage time points. Irv Smith had a just disastrous performance, obviously, with the drop. KJ Osborne's been a non-factor. I mean, the offense in general, I don't think hasn't lived up to its potential. So I think it's more of spreading the wealth out to this offense and can get more contributors on the offensive side. JJ had a great game against the Packers, and I still think things should funnel through him. But can the rest of the offense basically get going more? That's what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm on the offensive side of the ball, too. I'm going to give you two little nuggets here. Little like storylines within the storylines that I am most interested in.
Oh, sidebars.
Okay. These are
sidebars
within
inside
the
journalism.
Yep. So I gave you the average depth of target stat that the Vikings have not been able to get the ball down the field in the air as much as they probably would like. According to MGM Sportsbook, the Vikings have thrown the ball 10 yards or less in the air 85% of their pass attempts this season, which is the highest amount of short passes of any team in the league. So again, there's a lot of short concepts here, crossing routes, etc. But I don't think they designed that many short passes in the first 2 weeks. Checkdowns, whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was the plan.
Agreed.
So, and then on the other side too, we mentioned this stat a couple days ago, state of the offense. Cousins has targeted wide receivers on only 55% of his passes this year. Top offenses that, and I'm picking a couple that don't have top tight ends, but like the Rams and the Bills, they're more like 70 to 75% wide receiver targets. Vikings at 55. So that's one thing. Can you get the ball down the field to your receivers? And then here's another one. Red zone. So Vikings are 2 for 7 scoring touchdowns in the red zone this year. Not very good. According to MGM, the Lions have allowed 38 rushing touchdowns alone in the red zone to running backs specifically since the 2020 season, most in the NFL. A little bit of a different vibe this year with the Lions, so maybe their defense has been a train wreck. So can you get the ball into the end zone from the red zone is another sidebar storyline that I'm interested in. Next question. What scares you guys the most about the opponent this week, the Lions?
Their offense, flat out. They can score points now. And you know what? To their credit, Jared Goff. Like, Jared Goff's playing well. And I really thought that he was first a product of McVay and then just sort of a joke, and he's not. So, yeah, their passing game scares me. They can run the ball, which the Vikings are struggling to stop. So, yeah, if there's one thing about Detroit, it's the fact that you can almost book they're going to score points on Sunday. The key is to contain them a little bit or a lot bit if the offense continues to struggle for the Vikings. But yes, it is the Lions' offensive attack. They definitely have skill position weapons that they probably haven't consistently had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown has turned into a really, really good wide receiver for them. DeAndre Swift isn't a bad running back. They have playmakers on offense. The Lions used to be a pushover for the longest time, where they'd have incompetence, from their head coaching and whatnot. And, you can make fun of Dan Campbell for being kind of a goofball, but he gets those dudes to play hard, and they've lost a lot of close games and have been in the majority of games for his tenure so far. So, yeah, that offense can actually put up some points, and I'm just curious how the Vikings can hopefully control it.
The thing that scares me the most is Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell doesn't just like football. Dan Campbell loves football. He seems like a short shelf life guy, but we are in the middle of the shelf life right now. Like, this team is dying on a hill for him right now.
Yep.
He's pushing the right buttons. He's getting Jared Goff to play better, or at least his staff is. And they are 4-4 in their last 8 games, including a win over the Vikings. So they're coming off hard knocks. They're putting up 34 points a game in their last 4. So they're the Dan Campbell, charge, sort of just the whole vibe that he is getting this team to play with.
Follow me to freedom.
Yes, kind of scares me. Not that the Vikings aren't rallying around Kevin O'Connell. I think they do believe it. I feel like the Vikings are kind of feeling out, okay, let's see here. Okay, right. I felt good after week 1. We're kind of feeling our way around. The Lions are more like, let's go. Let's run through walls. Let's bite kneecaps, etc. Because we are no longer the little engine that could team. So just that vibe can be dangerous and can snowball in the NFL in a good way for them. We will make our official game picks here in just a brief moment, but if you are like Judd, or really any of us on this show, and you're not very confident in your ability to fix things around the home, thank God for companies like Finch Home Solutions.
That is correct. In fact, your pick should be our friend Cody, a huge Vikes fan, and as Phil just said, Finch Home Solutions. They can take care of everything from faulty outlets to flickering lights to installing or repairing electrical panels. Everything that you shouldn't do. DIY has its limits. If you want to go paint, I don't care. That's fine. But don't burn your house down because you're a guy's guy. Let Finch solve the problems, and here's the best part. Right now, Finch is offering a free home safety inspection to all Purple Daily fans. That's right, free. So you have no excuse to say, honey, I'm going to go up in the electronical area of our house right now and fix it. You don't want to do that. Call Finch, 612-357-2604. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com. I guarantee you, like a bunch of folks who have sent me notes from this show, you will be satisfied with the work that Cody and his crew do. They're outstanding. FinchHomeSolutions.com. Play it smart.
Our friends at Federated have been helping business owners for over 100 years as well, and their corporate culture at Federated is grounded in integrity, equity, teamwork, and respect. These are the 4 cornerstones that create the foundation that supports all of their interactions with your business. They're all about maximizing the success of your business through risk management tools and resources. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, gentlemen, let's make our official picks. The Vikings are a 6-point favorite right now over the Detroit Lions.
That's too high, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's too high. I don't like that.
You'll be able to make your pick here
hold
in
on.
a second. Okay.
Quiet.
59% of bets are on the Lions. 56% of money is on the Lions.
Okay.
According to Action Network, the best play on this game is actually the over, they say, over 52.5, or at least it can be depending on the number you get. The Vikings rank 30th in defensive DVOA, according to Football Outsiders. Lions offense looks like the real deal. Lions have given up a bunch of points. So they're less interested in flirting with the 6 points than they are with just taking the over on the 52.5. The Lions, by the way, have covered the spread in 9 of their last 11 games overall.
Hey-yo.
So very interesting. So let's go around the room here. Vikings are 6-point favorites. Who wins the game outright? And then if you have a different answer for who covers the spread, go ahead and give us that too.
All right, so two things at play here. One is I think we all gravitate towards, these teams are going to score a ton of points. On paper, they should. But I feel like every time I say that, like, oh, man, the over, it's great. Yeah. Guess what happens? You get surprised. You get a surprise. Game goes under. And Ed Donatel, dude, if your scheme, my scheme's great. Players sucked. Well, I didn't say suck, but they weren't good. Okay, prove it. This weekend, prove it. Long story short, I do think Detroit covers the spread. I think the Vikings win outright, and I am predicting 24-20 Vikings win this game. I have a feeling that I'm so convinced that it's going to be this high-scoring affair that it's not. I also think that 6 points on the spread is too much, but I think that the Vikings rebound nicely at home, and I do think the one thing about this team is I think they're going to be incredibly tough here. I think that the road games are dicey. The home games, the Vikings are going to be tough. 24-24 point victory.
Interesting. I think the Vikings win and cover the spread. So I do think they'll cover that 6 point spread, no problem. It should be, finally, I think, more of an offensive-based game. That things have been a little bit more tamed in the first few weeks for the Vikings, but the Lions' MO is not going to be shutting down defenses or not going to be a defensive-based team by any means. Their defense is pretty brutal, and so is the Vikings. I think the Vikings win 28-17.
Okay.
28-17.
So, I
Famous
think
last words.
I think the Vikings win. 6 points is a little too much for me to swallow here. So I'm going to have different answers on both sides. I would take the points here. I would take the Lions and the points, but I think the Vikings win a closer game than 6. So I'm kind of with Judd on this, and that to me it's like a 27-23. Maybe the offense gets going, and maybe they do go over. Maybe it's like a 31-28 or 31-27 or something like that. But 6 points is just a little too much. Listen, the Vikings are averaging 15 points per game offensively, and they're giving up 15 points per game defensively. So to this point, it's been kind of a lower scoring climate in 2 games that were kind of blowouts. So I'm not ready to say that this is just going to be unleash the Vikings and the Lions are going to be a pushover. So Vikings win, but it's a closer game than the 6. So there you go. Any other final thoughts from you guys on this Purple Picks episode before we get to Vikings Vent Line tomorrow, right after the game is over?
Ed, shore up the defense. You told us the players stunk.
Come on,
now
guy.
prove it. Come on.
Ed,
come on.
guy.
Ed.
Easy, Ed.
I bet KOC said, hey, Ed, come here for a second. I just spent the whole bleeping week shouldering the blame, and you went into a press conference and basically said, I'm great.
Our
I did a
scheme is
great
amazing.
job.
But he kind of remembered halfway through the answer to one of those guys. He was like,
Right.
I mean, like, we need to do a better job, coaching these guys, but mostly Cam Dancer is a moron. So that's
how it came off.
So, all right, if you could click the subscribe button on our Purple Daily YouTube channel, if that's where you consume this show. And if you listen on one of the audio platforms, a 5-star rating and a positive review goes a long way to help us spread the word about this Vikings community you are helping us build on Purple Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Ventline.